Hi, Mark here from the Tangibound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangibound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangibound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangiboundNetwork.com and see if Tangibound Network is right for you.
This is a Danger Entertainment podcast. DangerEntertainment.net's Danger Entertainment Podcast Network.
We're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind, so if you feel you do need help, please reach out and get the help you need. We have a whole list of things on our files page over on Facebook at facebook.com/crazylifepodcast. And or just search on the internet for the suicide prevention hotline number, or go to NAMI.org or whatever resource you can find. But just please reach out for help if you need it. If you feel as though you're going to harm yourself or others, definitely reach out and try not to be alone. Also, if you feel that way and you realize that you're writing a note or making plans of how you would do like harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. That's a huge red flag. And lastly, please do not replace the idea of therapy with listening to this show. Again, if you need help, please reach out and get the help that you need, or contact us. We can try to help you find the help that you need.
Life sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time. Stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
My name is Jen, and I am your hostess for the evening. And with me, as always, we have Brian and Henno. Hey, guys.
Howdy. Hello?
Oh,
Is it me you're looking for?
am I social distancing enough for you?
Nope. Way ahead of you. That's what I about it in a Twitter room I'm in today, and I was like, as an agoraphobic, way ahead of you.
Sharon and I are bowing to each other in the house. It's really funny.
Aw.
Really funny. Like because we were just talking about, we're in the kitchen, and I'm like, okay, what do we want to, which one do you want to use? And she said, I like the bow thing. And then when she finally left for work today, she stopped in the middle of the hallway and just did the little bow with her hands together. I was like, it just made me laugh.
Right.
Well, have you seen
respectful?
Have you seen the foot bump yet?
No, I
geez.
haven't. I love that idea. Like, you just bang your shoe against the other person's shoe?
No, you put your foot out, and they tap the inside of the foot to the outside of the foot to the inside of the foot. So one person puts their foot out, and you tap your outside of your foot to the inside of their foot.
So, like, you're going to do the kid and play dance, but you don't touch hands, right?
Pretty much. You can do it inside foot to inside foot, or inside foot to outside foot, depending upon,
Or you're in a public bathroom and you're trying to send a message to the person in the stall next to you.
Sure.
Yeah, too much. There's plenty of different ways out there.
I just prefer to wave because it's the one that looks the least stupid.
Waving?
Yeah. Just like,
Yeah.
or the old head nod,
I like the the old parade kind of a wave.
Right, the queen wave, right? Yeah. No.
Elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist. Elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist.
Yeah.
We all parade girls know it well. No, actually, somebody posted on Twitter, like, leaving my house after a 4-week quarantine. Friend looks, man, that was crazy. What was crazy? We're quarantined. What quarantine?
Yeah.
Boom.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
So, anywho, how are you guys doing?
Oh,
Awesome.
I mean, it may or may not be someone other than me or Jen's birthday today.
True.
I'm not going to reveal who, but
A vicious rumor.
yeah. Looking spry for 70.
So many years ago.
Mhm,
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yes, happy birthday. We are glad to celebrate your birth, sir.
Yeah, it was kind of. It's my fault that we're recording on my birthday because we were supposed to do this last night, and I forgot that recording session. Then I'm like, oh, cool, we're gonna podcast on my.
Yeah.
Hey.
I have a very sore arm right now because one thing that's been I've had a sticky note for is to get the shingles vaccine,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and my coworker got it, and I knew that he would have used our health insurance through work because my GM is already on Medicare. And so when Sean said he got it, I was like, ooh, just go to the clinic, what'd you do? And he's like, yeah, I just went to the clinic. It was just 2 visits. Someone was completely covered by the insurance. He's like, yeah, 100%. I was like, okay. So I was walking to go get breakfast today. I walked everywhere today.
Nice.
Like, I went out of my way not to get in my car. I walked to the hospital. I walked to breakfast, and I walked the dogs. Big deal. But it's one of those things where I'm like, no, I'm not getting in the car. It was a beautiful day. I'm going to go walk. And it felt really good. But as I was walking, I called up the hospital and I just said, hey, I'd like to get an appointment for this. And when do you want to do it? And I'm like, well, whenever you have available, figuring, it's going to be 3 weeks away or something like that. And it was like, well, we got a 2:30 this afternoon if you like. Awesome.
Sure.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
So she said that people say that, it hurts, their arm hurts the words like tetanus shot kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, I bet it doesn't hurt as much as getting your eyeball.
Right? Yeah.
Like what happened to my friend Brendan.
Yeah.
2 weeks for his 50th birthday. Oh, brutal.
Ouch.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd much rather have a sore arm for a little bit than that for sure.
It was unbelievable. So I got that done, and I actually worked on my cars today. And fortunately, one part that I got around Christmas time that's been sitting in the van was the wrong year. I'm like, how did I manage that? I got it for I'm like, this van isn't that new. Like, why would I have ordered that? I'm like, who knows what was going on in my head?
Wow.
But even still, didn't let it get me down. I jumped on. I was like, okay, let's see what else I can find. And it worked. And I got that going. So I have Sharon. I have a friend that's having to drive down to Twin Falls, which is a little over an hour away for some medical stuff, and they have a big old Chrysler truck, like I'm pretty sure it's a gas, it's just total gas guzzler. And I was like, well, I got the Ford Escape hybrid going, the Escape. They want to see when they go down to the hospital.
Right. Nice.
And it was good motivation, like the idea of being helpful to others.
Right.
Mhm.
Actually, cool, help others week. And it was really neat because I was grateful that I could, because I just happened, like on a financial level, I was like, okay, I can do this. but part of, all right, not that it's connected. However, I'd like to think it's connected to the fact that I decided to finally get back into like my finances last week. And, I knew I had to, credit card stuff, like promotional offers that I was, doing that Sharon and I were doing were going to need to be transferred over to somewhere else. And so it's just a drag to sit down and put all those numbers down and then figure out, okay, I can move this here, blah, blah, blah. Did all that. And I feel like that because I did that, it also made me a little bit aware of what else I could do from a helpful standpoint.
Right.
So
nice.
That felt really good. What else happened this week? Been somewhat feeling useful. Oh my goodness. The one thing, I have been in so much pain for like at least 2 weeks because of a back thing. I'm like, I definitely feel it in my muscles, but it was also where I have my whiplash injury from my spine. And I was seeing my chiropractor, and he just wasn't getting it, and was real reluctant to push it. And yesterday I went to go see him, and I've been trying to do everything I could. I bought this little block to put under my neck at the end of the day, and I've been going in early to do, some, the hydrotherapy or just something to get myself loosened up. And this last time yesterday I went in, and I'd had them do the electrostim on me for the appointment. And then like Aaron's already a big dude, and it's like he just practically stood on the table, stuck his whole forearm into my back and popped this rib back into place. And it was like, oh thank, because I figured out what it was. It was my base, because we did 2 8-hour plus recording sessions, stand with my base for 8 hours. So that was what it was. And it felt like, I was like, I texted him this morning because all of a sudden I realized, I'm like, I'm not in pain. I should I said, thank you.
That's awesome.
I had a pretty good week. People are freaking out about stuff. Things are starting to get shut down in Idaho, but it's not too bad. We're not, the Hanks live here in the valley, but luckily they're in Australia with their COVID-19.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's scary, but we're
gym. Like I just said, I'm not going to the gym. I found out it could live for 4 hours on a surface. Mm-hmm. And so if at any point in the day, if you go to the gym, you figure most people, like the gym probably cycles, let's just say once an hour, that everybody in the gym changes over once an hour. That's 3 gymfuls of people that are touching there. And I understand everyone's very respectful and wiping their equipment down and blah, blah, blah. But I'm still like, this is a high-end health club. These are the people that have enough money that they can travel anywhere in the United States. They travel all over the place. They can their use it. I'm like, I'll just walk everywhere for a while. So,
Well, yeah, that works. Yeah, I'm with you. There's different stuff that, like I was supposed to go with Tony to trivia this week. And I'm not going to lie, like the idea of it in my head, I was kind of like, is this a good idea? And not just because of me, but because, I live with my mom and her partner, and they're in their 70s, Yep. They are the demographic that are most at risk here. Pneumonia years ago, and Jim just had open heart surgery just over a year ago, so there is potential for compromised, situations there. So I have to think a little more outside of just me for this, not that I wouldn't anyway, but like it's not the same as it would be if I lived by myself or something. So, but luckily, it didn't end up going anyway, but I was kind of the whole day, I was kind of back and forth about like, should I go? Shouldn't I? Like where's that line where I should start avoiding these kind of things, also obviously I'm fighting against my own natural, inclination to not go because, of my own issues with, anxiety and, agoraphobia and what have you, so I'm fighting that anyway. But in this case, it really wasn't about that. It really was just a, you know, I don't want to try to heighten the chance. And that was it the day of or the day after Ohio had its first couple cases or something like that. So it was like, okay, well, it's here now. You know, like if it hadn't been in Ohio, I wouldn't read quite as much, you know, but it's like, okay, it's in Michigan and it's in Ohio now. So, you know, luckily so far, knock on whatever, you know, not close, but, yeah, it was still something, you know. And when Ohio got its first cases the other night, you know, my mom was like, hey, would you go to the store and grab a couple things, you know? So I went and, you know, I got us an extra pack of toilet paper, not to be a hoarder, but it was like one extra, you know, but it was like, they still had a few left when I went, you know, they had like 4 or 5 big packs and then they had some small packs and an amazing amount of paper towel. So apparently people aren't that worried about their situation, if you catch my drift. No. But, you know, a lot of obviously, you know, hand sanitizer was all gone. A lot of the hand soap was decimated. And the wipes, it was weird. They had 0 store brand wipes, you know, like Clorox or Lysol type wipes. But the brand name ones, they just didn't have any big packs of them. They had other containers of them. It was kind of weird to me that it was like, oh, okay, well, people are panicking, but they're still on a budget. So, you know.
What helps me out, I'm doing drywall sanding at work.
Yeah.
And you should see the mask I'm having to use because I literally can't get a mask.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm using this old, and I just have to take it down to the air compressor and blow it out the best I can. I'm just reusing a mask, disposable N95, because there aren't any.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there aren't. Luckily, my mom had some from, I don't know, something either we did here or I don't know. She has the better part of a box of masks though. So, and they're the N95 ones. So, you know, not that any of us need them yet, you know, hopefully none of us will need them, but we have them. And, but you know, like I said, I just went to get, you know, grab a gallon of milk, just a few, like going to get crazy or anything, but there was like nobody in the store. I was really surprised. I figured as soon as news broke, people would just, cause like, if they were going to have 2 inches of snow in Ohio, the stores are empty, basically, right? So I'm thinking, well, if the end of the world is coming, the way a lot of people are panicking about this, then this place is going to just have nothing. And I went in and was like, oh, wow, there's only literally like, I don't know, 10 other customers here. We're all walking around, you know, being nice to one another, not killing, you know, no one's fighting over anything. It was, you know, but then I've got friends today telling me that they were in stores and there's nothing. Like toilet paper's completely gone. All the wipes are gone. Like all of those gone. And then also, a lot of food is being grabbed because people they're planning for the self-quarantine. You know, they're, and it was, but what's weird to me is it's like, I feel like telling people to prepare for the self-quarantine, they're pretty much telling people, what, about 2 weeks, roughly? And I feel like people are going and getting like a month and a half to 5 months of food. You know? And same with the toilet paper and stuff. You know, I keep telling people this story a few years ago. All 3 of us in this house got a bad flu, you know? And it lasted within the house, because I was the last one who got it, about 3 weeks total. And we didn't even go through 1 big pack of toilet paper, you know, and that's, again, 3 adults using it regularly for, you know, back, if you will. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, we were aggressively using it and dig through it. So it's like people grabbing 5 and 6 are like, calm down a little bit here. You know, you're probably not going to need that. So who knows? Maybe a few months from now.
That's a salty language topic.
Yeah, right. No, I was meaning more for like our noses, as it was kind of like a cold flu combo thing. It was brutal, but yeah. Hey, whatever you needed it for, you know. Anyway, but you know what I mean. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like, I don't want to be like the, oh, it won't happen to me, or, any of the, I'm in the demographic that'll make it through okay, cause I'm not. I've got bad allergies. I'm diabetic. These are both things that are no good for respiratory infections or any sort of a thing, but other relatively decent shape. So whatever, but I just can't get over like the lines I'm seeing people post today and stuff. It's insane. And I understand it's like, everyone's scared, but, as we'll get into for today's topic, like just, please try to stay calm. Like nothing wrong with grabbing a little extra, but I'll tell you this, after this is all said and done, I think there's going to be way more people, that are grabbing an extra pack or 3 of toilet paper from time to time, just in case this happens again at some point, so they're ahead of the curve. Like I grew up with my mom always had the mentality, because we didn't have a lot of money. So whenever my parents had the extra money, they would buy an extra paper towels, any of that kind of stuff that you use regularly, laundry soap, whatever. So I've kind of grown up in that mentality anyway, so it's like I was telling Tony, the last time we talked, I was like, man, everybody laughing at these doomsday preppers, but, right now they're looking pretty smart. They don't have to go fight anybody for this stuff. So, yeah, I went to therapy this week, and it was a weird, really cool situation in that, because so many people are calling off because of the coronavirus, or it was a Friday, and my therapist was like, yeah, I get tons of people calling off on Fridays. Like, they don't come in for therapy. And I was like, okay. Well, she had no one scheduled after me, and we sat and talked for 2 hours.
No way!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And,
that's so great.
cause they schedule you for, you're scheduled for roughly an hour, but you only are in there 45 minutes. The other part is in case of run over, or so she can do paperwork, and we were just talking, and in my head I'm going, this feels about as long as Salty Language, because I've done this enough, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and at one point I was like, and I'm like, are we over? Like, have we gone past time? And she goes, oh yeah, we're way over time. And I was like, really? And then I looked at, cause I'm not looking at my phone while I'm in there. I'm engaging, So I look at my clock and I'm like, oh my God, it's, 2 hours. So, and her next client came in right around that time. So it was just kind of funny how in my head, my brain was literally going, wrap it up. It's almost 2 hours basically without me even thinking about it. So,
Awesome.
but it was, the coolest part about it was I had a big aha moment in the second hour. So if I would have only had my normal time, I wouldn't have gotten there, because we wouldn't have gotten that deep into the conversation. Because I actually kind of came to a realization, was we were talking about, kind of, why I tend to, like, if something doesn't seem as though it's going to come out perfect to me, why I immediately am like done and want to walk away. And I kind of, just in talking, I made a comment that I was like, I'm like, I wonder if it's just that basically because it's easier to just, by doing that, I confirm my bias in that I'm walking in going, I can't do this. I'm terrible. This isn't going to be right. And as soon as anything shows me that I might be correct, I take that as proof and walk away. And I was sitting there, and when I said it, and I'm like, whoa, I'm like, and then I start thinking about it more and more, and I'm just sitting there, and she's like, okay, she's like, let's get into this. And then that, like, the whole second hour basically was almost us talking in that direction, which was really awesome, because what I'm realizing is that I honestly think I'm the type that a 2-hour therapy session would be more ideal for me than a 1 hour. Cause I feel like the 45 minutes basically works the way gym class does when you're in high school. By the time you get dressed, get in there, they do attendance, you do some warm-ups. It's like, okay, well, everyone go get changed. It's time to get out of here. You've basically done nothing. And I kind of feel that way sometimes with therapy. You get in there, they check you in, you exchange quick pleasantries, and then you start getting into it, and you're pretty much 15 minutes, and then you've only got half an hour to talk. And it's hard to really dig deep in half an hour like that. So it's, I really, like, after that, I was like, man, I really feel like the 2-hour session was the way to go, but I can't do that regularly, so I just have to appreciate that I had that chance. And because I told her, because I was like, I am so sorry. And she's like, no, it's not your fault. She's like, I need to impose boundaries. She's like, I need to be better about that. And I told her, I said, I to appreciate that you should, like that your boundaries, like that we have an hour boundary. I should have, respected that as well. So it was kind of funny. We were both kind of very like, taking responsibility for our thing. But then she was like, but I really enjoyed this. And I'm like, yeah, this was one of the best sessions I've had. So, we both were like, okay, we shouldn't have done that because just, professionalism rules on her end. On my end, it's, you should respect the boundaries put in front of you. But then, also it was a really happy accident. So, that was really nice walking out of there though. I felt, really good. It gave me a lot to think about and everything because we started digging into core beliefs and stuff, which is something I know I've mentioned on here, but something I'll bring up at some point, as a show topic down the road. So, yeah, I think that about covers my week.
Cool. Well, I did something. I did something. I actually signed up for the gym.
All right.
I had my first workout on Monday.
That's funny.
That I've had in about 5 years.
I didn't see any selfies, so I don't think you went to the gym.
We are far away from gym selfies, let me tell you. But the gym I signed up with actually has a free training service. Okay. So I have a trainer that I'm working with 3 times a week.
Good.
His name's Adam. He's young enough to be my child. Very, very nice young man.
Sure. Most 30-year-olds are.
Hey, now.
Think about it this way, Jen. In order to have a 30-year-old, you'd only have to be roughly, 46? I'm not that far off.
You're far enough off, mister. Far enough.
Right.
But, yeah. So, we did, so on Monday I signed up with him, and then he's asked me if I was going to work out that day, because I had just signed up at the gym, or if I was going to come back. I'm like, no, I'm here. I might as well work out. So I did cardio on Monday, and then Tuesday I had to take the dogs to get their nails trimmed, which is another story, and I'll have to get back to on that one. And Wednesday I had my first training appointment, and Adam and I did upper body. So my arms are killing me right now because he had me do the different machines and different things with different free weights and whatnot to kind of get my base level of where I'm at with things. And so we had some good conversation and stuff, and I couldn't resist. I was trying to be professional, as is a professional situation, but he has me on a pectoral machine. And I said, you know what I used to call this, right? And he's like, what? I'm like, it's a titty lifter. And he just laughed. He shook his head and laughed. And I'm like, what? Help myself. I had to give him one just to crack him up. But
right.
Though, and then I met, so there's Adam, who's I'm doing my majority of my training with, but then there's Nick, who's another trainer there that he kind of jumped in and helped out a little bit. Then I have Jenna, who is another trainer that I'll be working with on Friday. So it'll be tomorrow. I'll be working with her on my lower body. in getting that stuff going, which is going to probably include squats, which is probably going to include me not being able to stand up.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Or falling over because I'm weighted like a weeble wobble. If you're familiar with what a weeble wobble is, there you go. I'm weighted kind of like a weeble wobble. So I don't actually kind of just wobble back and forth.
Once you get form right, you won't fall though, because it's about keeping your spine straight. So it's just a matter of not leaning too far. Yeah.
And having a strong core, which my core is not strong.
Core's not important.
But so my main goal, we talked about my goals, and my first goal is my wedding ring. I can't wear it on my wedding ring finger. It's too small. So I wear it on my pinky. So that is my first goal, is to be able to put my wedding ring on the actual finger it's supposed to be on and have it be comfortable. So, little goal. The medium to long goal is I would like to be down 50 pounds by the end of the year. And the end goal is I would like to be down 70 to 80 pounds overall. So, got my little goals in mind and stuff. And I started, I had a good conversation with Nick, one of the trainers, about nutrition. And I jumped on to one of the apps, one of the weight loss diet tracking apps.
Yeah.
And I plugged in all my info. And it got a number and said, you should be eating 1,450 calories a day to lose weight. And I said, okay, I can handle this. So I went and talked to Nick, and he's like, no. I said, no. He's like, you should start with 2,000 and then work your way down to the 1,450 so that your body doesn't go into starvation mode. And I'm like, that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah. And he's like, and the keto diets and those diets like that eliminate everything, be very careful with those because they make you product sensitive. So like if you take out all the carbs, then when you go to add them back in, your body is not prepared for them or comfortable with them. And your body will, a lot of times bodies will have an adverse reaction and cause you to gain weight, gain water weight, and bloat you and all these other things, which is why people can't be long-term successful with them. So a couple pieces of knowledge that I picked up there. I'm like, all right, it's kind of cool.
Really quick, I want to jump in and remind everyone we're not doctors, therapists, nutritionists, or experts of any kind. So please, before starting anything, consult your physician, therapist, dietitian, whatever. Okay, continue.
I 100% agree. And these gentlemen made stuff from their high school nutrition specialist. I don't know.
No, I'm just, it wasn't that I'm like doubting anything. I'm just just a good point to make sure that's said again. That's all.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Also, for safety reasons, you should go talk to your doctor, exercise regimens and such, etc.
Exactly. So, I've been doing that this week, and
good on you for doing that. Cause, I know as obviously we've known each other, forever. So we both have had our struggles with this kind of stuff, and neither one of us has necessarily, especially recently, been like, yeah, let's go to the gym. So, good on you for taking the step. Cause I know there's a lot of anxiety for a lot of that first step at, going to the gym. So, good on you for doing it.
And it's a lot of mental stuff.
Yep.
I've got a lot of baggage around weight loss and exercising.
Which is the other reason I wanted to make sure I said what I did. Yeah. So.
Thank you. But I do, it's very difficult for me to go down that path again, because it's been a path that I've been down many times and had various results. So, and ultimately it's results that I'm not happy with, because I wouldn't be in the place I'm in now if I was happy with the results I got going down the roads before. Mm-hmm. So that is why I decided to do something completely different this time. And that's why I'm getting I'm getting a trainer, and I'm kind of turning myself over to the process.
That's a big deal.
I have one question to ask you just because I have to as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to talk to any sort of a therapist about your baggage, we'll call it, because I don't know how far you want to get into it, but your baggage with like emotional eating and such?
Well, I hadn't planned on it. I know I probably should, and all I should, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I've been off my meds for a couple days now, so I've been a little bit late because I've been off my meds. I ran out, and my doctor he just refilled them after we had a conversation.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's going to want me to, and I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not advocating for it. I'm simply asking. Because and if nothing else, I want it so that the conversation's kind of had for anyone listening who may not consider that part of the journey. Cause I'm a perfect example of it in that for years and years, and I know I told Jen this countless times, I'm not an emotional eater. And then one day I was sitting there in my room, it's 3 a.m, everyone's in bed, and I'm ramming chips in my face. And I mean, just eating the whole bag. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then it's why don't I do this while anyone's awake? So clearly I'm an emotional eater. It's just I refuse to admit that I'm an emotional eater. Basically, I'm replacing, interaction with people more than anything probably. I'm doing it more out of boredom probably. But, so that's why I was asking is because it's very easy. And I know you've had your issues with emotional eating. You've been open on here before about it. So hopefully I didn't step, nothing out of school there, but, but, like I said, I just wanted to make sure people consider that because it is and can be a very important part of the process. If you don't know why you find yourself eating a whole bag of chips in one sitting other than, listen, we know they taste good, but But there's also some other reason probably that you're eating the whole bag. Not, I'm going to have a few handfuls of chips or a bowl or a whatever, It's no, I'm eating all of them, And like I said, for me, it's it's 3 a.m. Why am I eating them now? But I wouldn't do this at 3 p.m. And that I think was kind of what clicked for me because it's okay, is this behavior you would do other times? Then maybe it's not as emotional. Maybe it is, depending on, but with me, I was wait a minute, I won't do this when everyone else is awake. Why not? So, and by the way, I still haven't gotten to that in therapy yet. That's a long way off. That's the least of my worries.
Well, it becomes a want versus need thing that, do you want the chips or do you need the chips?
Both.
And if you need, why do you need them?
Sorry, I just had an Aqua Teen Hunger Force moment. Where it's I don't want the candy. I need the candy.
Exactly. So it's definitely the third prong to it. So we'll see. Okay. Because I know why I have the emotional eating, and I haven't been really doing the emotional eating. So
that's good then. Okay.
Yeah. So I feel kind of under control, but
so definitely just definitely make sure you pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
If you catch yourself doing any of that kind of stuff again, to maybe then strongly consider. But yeah, that's good. Hopefully your life has shifted in such a way that you don't feel the need to do that anymore. Because this is a tough conversation to have on the show because I know the reasons, but I don't want to go into them because they're very private and it's not my story. So, but anyway, so anyway, I'll shut up now.
It's all right.
Tap dance away.
No, it is a very important part. And as of right now, I feel I have a pretty good handle on things. But as we've talked about and proven in the past, me thinking I have a handle on things and me actually having a handle on things are two different things. So It's going to definitely be one of those time will tell situations and just kind of see how things unfold.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still very hesitant. I share because this is the place to share.
Mm-hmm.
I've let a few people in on what's going on in my goals and stuff, including the women I work with, which was kind of a big thing for me because I'm opening myself up for failure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm opening myself up for success as well.
Well, the key there isn't that you're opening yourself up for success or failure. You know what you're opening yourself up to is? Judgment.
Criticism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you the most vulnerable there, because we can fail, because a lot of times anyone who's dieted has failed. There's, as far as I haven't met a person who was just like, I'm going to diet, and then boom, just success and nothing ever, no setback, no plateau, no nothing, just boom, coasted to goal, So I think in a lot of ways, we can lose and people will be supportive because that's how a lot of us are now, but as far as the judgment, and I guess, let me rephrase, it's not that you open yourself up to judgment, you open yourself up to perceive that there will be judgment.
You're right.
You open the floodgates for your brain to assume someone else is going to judge you, which sounds ridiculous when you say it, but
it is. But it seems our brains play.
Exactly.
So, but so that's been kind of where my focus has been this week. Nice. And I found out today that, well, it's not 100% official, but it looks very much like I'm going to be working from home for the next 3 weeks because of the coronavirus. So
really,
it's going to be
not because she's not because you have it, but because of like work shutdown, right?
Right.
I just want to
work shutdown.
I just want to clarify.
I am not infected at this moment. I know of.
Right. Right.
But so it's going to be interesting because at work I'm in a controlled environment as far as food and everything else is concerned.
Yeah.
At home, I am going to be sitting there with my little laptop with a whole fridge full of food, not even 5 steps away from me. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be very early on to have such a test, but it will be a test and we will see how things go and see what happens. And my next appointment with my psychiatrist is April 13th, which is May. Mm-hmm. So that was as early as he could get me in.
Just make sure you understand that there is no failure along the way in this path. Right?
It's gonna be tough.
Yes. No failure. Even if you don't meet your whatever goal, tomorrow's a day, just like anything else. Today was a bad day, tomorrow is a fresh start. So don't, try not to I can't believe I'm saying this to you. Try not to tie emotions to it.
Well, I'll try.
So, and of course, along the way, Heno and I will be, standing there with our short skirts and pom-poms cheering you on. So.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I appreciate that. And I've been getting a lot of support from my online friends and stuff. So I know I've got the support system.
Yeah.
It's just getting the motivators doing it.
Yeah.
And just one day at a time, like you said, and just see where it goes.
Right. Well, if nothing else, dogs run in the backyard and try to catch them.
That's true. I could.
Yep. And by catch them, I mean like grab them and take them to the ground. Catch them. Like in the old, like when they used to chase. I call it like the rodeo or whatever. When they chase like a pig and then hog tie them. I'm not advocating tying your dog up, but you get you got to actually bring them down because then you got to use some strength because I know your dogs are strong. So.
They are. And they have moves.
Yeah.
One of their favorite games is Keep Away,
Mm-hmm.
and they can juke like nobody's business.
Right. That's why I said that'll give you a great exercise. Your husband will just come home and find you in the backyard sprawled out.
A bulldog licking my face.
Yeah, basically.
Pretty much. He's like, "What? This was fun. What are you doing laying down?
Yeah.
We're enjoying ourselves."
Why aren't you throwing the ball anymore?
Yeah. So the thing that I've been doing, like I said, we'll see. I'll keep everybody updated and posted on what's going on. And, as always, if you want to contact me, all my contact info is at the end of the show, and we can chit chat about my journey.
Nice.
There we go. So with that, we're going to be talking today about, I think, Brian, you've got the article, right?
Yep. And
All right.
I searched for this because of, obviously it's very relevant, and it's about what to do if you're anxious about coronavirus. And, as we all know, there's been a lot of panic around this, and, and reasonably so. I mean, this is something new. It's scary. Doctors are coming out saying they're not sure about certain parts of it. So when that happens, it can be a little bit scary. So, but I wanted to focus more on kind of like, those of us with anxiety, about how to not let your anxiety run away with the fear and stuff, because I'm not going to lie. Well, I mentioned already, my going to trivia, and the first thing that kind of popped in my head was is this a good idea? Going to the grocery store even the other night, I had that thought, because I'm like,
Yeah.
Is it going to be busy? Is it, anyway, this is from Huffington. It's by, I don't know how to say your name because it's spelled like baloney or Bologna. So I don't want to insult or mispronounce, but it's Bologna. It's, that's her last name.
That's baloney.
This link, along with a few others, will be in the show notes. I've got one that'll be in there also about for people with OCD, and maybe how to, with all being told to wash our hands more and everything, how, to try to not let it be a trigger for you. So, whether you have OCD or not, it's a good read because you can, maybe kind of glean a little insight into what OCD actually is, even though this time it is about hand washing, or touching your face or whatever. So I'm not going to read this whole thing. I'm just going to go into the talking points here. And the first one is take a break from the news. And it's, feeling overwhelmed by concerns about coronavirus, considering monitoring and potentially limiting the amount of media you consume. It says, I would recommend filtering media coverage around or about coronavirus. People don't have to avoid the news altogether, but they also don't need to obsessively stay up to date either, Bentley said. Staying overly connected to news coverage can negatively impact mental health, so it is important to monitor if they notice a rise in anxiety. And go ahead.
I've taken to reading most of my news from BBC.
Yeah.
And the reason I've done that is that they have kind of an outsider's perspective, being, BBC and not it's stationed in the United States. They're kind of an outside looking in. So it gives a different perspective, and it's a little bit less emotional for me anyways. In how it's written and stuff, it doesn't come across to me as heated. So I can get that distance that I need, so that I don't get as much anxiety from it.
Yeah. I think it's like with anything that's a negative situation. I remember back when, on September 11th, when it happened, there was a point in the day where I had to turn the TV off because it was just so heavy what was going on. And it was just, my depression, my anxiety, everything were going crazy during that time. So for my own mental health, I had to turn the TV off for a little bit and try to distract myself. And anything, the last thing you want to do is give yourself an opportunity to obsess. And that's what's going on here, is if you just watch this, I know people who do this with like the Weather Channel, you know, when it looks like there's going to be some inclement weather or whatever, you know, or some severe weather, I should say, not inclement, severe weather. And they'll just sit and watch and watch and watch and watch. And they're paranoid about every little, and it's like, look, just stay abreast of it. You know, the broad stroke of it, like when they tell you seek cover, you know, that kind of thing. You don't have to watch every little nuance of it to be informed. And all that's going to do is, generally, people think that it's comforting, but it actually generally isn't. This goes back to a control situation. Like, us constantly watching this, we feel that knowledge is control in this situation. So the more we know, the more we can prevent, the more we can this and that. And if you really look at it, take the last 3 or 4 days you've listened to the news, how much of it is actually new versus kind of or mostly rehash, aside from, okay, this state has this many more victims or there are this many more deaths or whatever it is, you know, like, as far as the thing itself, a lot of times it's not. I keep, you know, every day you keep hearing them say, wash your hands, don't touch your face, avoid crowds. You know, we keep hearing this over and over and over and over. So, you know, after a while, you just got to turn it off a little bit. And if you have to, find something else to do. I know there's tips in here also, but, you know, put on a TV show you like, or play a video game, or read, or do something to kind of get your brain to work away from, you know, this situation for a little bit. Go exercise, whatever, you know. That's, you know, that'd be good for you anyways, trying to stay healthy. So go chase your dogs around the backyard.
Exactly.
The next tip on here is talk to someone. It says it may feel tempting to cut off communication with others when you're feeling anxious, but talking to someone about these emotions can be very helpful. How many times do we all try to look good on the outside when inside we're really panicked or depressed? The way for someone to understand how we are feeling or what we are thinking is for us to talk about it and tell them. You know, and another upside to that is that there's a lot of us, there's a lot of people who are panickers, and there's also people who are not, you know. And so if you're a person who panics or has anxiety or whatever, if you have a friend who's not, you know, sometimes that balance can be very nice, to where you're like, well, this, and they can go, yeah, but this, and this, you know, and you might go, oh, yeah, you know, they might be the calming influence you need.
Mm-hmm.
Or they might be, as Jen and I, you know, the game but as we've, you know, done with each other over the years, where it's, is this crazy? You know? So, and sometimes that's exactly, sometimes that's exactly what you need, is someone to look you dead in the face and go, yes. And, yes. You know, not being a jerk about it, but just going, yeah, this isn't, you know, this isn't, logical, or this isn't rational. So, you know, so you can work on it. So.
Mm.
It says in there also, you know, even if it's just via text, to, you know, reach out to somebody, which is also good. Anytime anxiety, depression, those kind of things really get going, you know, your head is fighting against you. So, you know, if you can try to not be alone, that's generally a good move anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is in the moment. It's critical to remain connected to the present moment rather than allowing fear to take over. If your mind is starting to wander into scary territory, try focusing on your immediate environment and mentally take stock of the things you do. That can help you stay grounded and keep things in perspective. The unknown surrounding coronavirus can be scary, but it's helpful to focus on the here and now. At the moment, the threat to you personally is not likely immediate. Positive affirmations are especially helpful. I am healthy today. I live a healthful life. I have control over my life. I am at peace. I feel calm. And that, I like the part of that, much like anything with anxiety, you know, if it's generally, you know, like I was taught in therapy, it's the same thing as, you know, talking about car rides, because they're incredibly stressful for me and cause me anxiety. But it's while I'm in the car, it's like, am I in a, you know, meaning, or am I being hurt, basically?
Mm-hmm.
And if the answer is no, then it's, okay, you've been through this, you are okay, you will be okay, like these kind of things. So, but like they said, as far as, if you need to, a good way to try to stay in the moment, I know we've talked about it in the past, but look up grounding techniques, which have to do with touching things around you, literally putting your feet on the floor, as Jen's talked before, wiggling your toes, anything that makes you focus on sensory things, can very much help take your mind, break the anxiety cycle, because that's really what you need to do in that moment. The next one is remind yourself what you can control. It's easy to feel like one's life is out of control and focus on the futility of life in these situations. The increased anxiety over a situation which is mostly beyond our control may cause us to rationalize and make poor decisions, and may result in returning to behaviors we were working hard to quit in the first place. But while the actions of world governments and fellow citizens are out of your control, you do have power over yourself. It is important to remind yourself of what is in your control. Make sure to wash your hands. Be on the lookout for flu-like symptoms. You can use your anxiety as a signal or reasonable step. Pandemic. Jonathan Sutton, director of the Cognitive Behavioral Therapies program at the Family Institute of Northwestern University, told HuffPost. Find a trusted source of information and stick to that one to insulate yourself from rumors and falsehoods. I saw that former President Obama mentioned that in his tweet about and I've seen others too, I believe, that were check the CDC, look at, WHO, the World Health Organization, and see what they recommend, because they're, it's going to be very, this kind of thing. And that's the best you can really do in that moment. Like you said, all you can control is you. And that's not just in these situations. That's any other time too. Whether or not you feel people should behave a different way, really, because they're going to behave how they're going to behave. So, you can choose to, not get into a fight over something at the grocery store or whatever, so, yeah. But also a situation to where it's like, you can, all you can do is the best you can do as far as preventing this. And that's really it. Nothing any of us can do that will 100%, unless you're lock yourself in your bunker or safe room for the next, year or something like that, barring something that extreme, there's not much you're going to be able to do to 100% prevent anything. So,
that was one thing I heard a disease or viral specialist today talking about was he got to the end of his little spiel and he brought up that about being careful about isolating ourselves for mental health aspects.
Yeah.
And that, here we are telling people to pretty much isolate, stay home, all these things for physical health, but we may be putting people who have mental health issues.
Yes. Because
we're forcing people to be alone. And at a time when you have heightened anxiety.
Yeah.
And so his was really about get those groups going, group text, group, get on Twitter, whatever it is, Kick, something like that. Reach out to your team, so to speak, and ask if it's okay to create some sort of a group chat so that you stay in contact with not just one person, but multiple people. So you can, remember that you're not alone. And I thought it was so great that he brought that up.
Yeah, that is a really good point.
Anybody talk.
Absolutely.
I read something earlier today that mentioned it, but I didn't even think about it. I'm glad you brought it up because I completely forgot that I read that. But that's a really good point. And not just for anxiety purpose, but for depression too, because this could feed into your depression that the world's out to get you, or that it's going to, things are bad and going to get worse and all this. So definitely reach out to.
A friend of mine sent me a message right before the show actually even started that another friend of theirs is afraid to do his AA meetings because of the
Sure.
coronavirus and doesn't want to be involved in a group of people, but he wants to continue on with his sobriety and he needs the support. So what he's going to do is he's a DM room and on Twitter for, and kind of have a pseudo AA type of a meeting on Twitter to have the support from each other. All of that stuff is incredibly important and easy to do setting it up. So, in reaching out to people and just interacting, just make sure you keep that interaction going.
I will say one beware is be careful of like-minded people. If you are super anxious about what's going on, be careful that you don't fill a room with other people that are only super anxious about this, because essentially you'll feed each other. So try to get a good mix of people in there.
Good point.
It is
true.
interesting.
Yeah, don't put yourself into an echo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I really think that, stuff like you were just saying, Jen, about like a virtual group and whatnot. I think a lot of us are going to take a good hard look at a lot of that stuff after we're through this a little more. In that, whether it's, hey, this is there just in case. Like I saw on the news tonight, a lot of churches are canceling services and people are upset because, this is the time where they want to go to church and feel comfort from that. But a lot of the bigger churches, especially now, offer online streaming. So most people, I understand there's some that can't, but a lot of people will still be able to. It's not quite the same as sitting in the service, but at least you can still be part of it. You can still take in the preaching. So if there is something that's a group activity that you would do, maybe look into that. I mean, obviously, if it's sports, it's probably canceled because everything seems to be canceled in sports now. So, but as far as, church things or group activities, see if there is something like that to where, or if that's an option, whether it's via text or if someone sets up, a Kick, or not a Kick, but like a Skype, meeting group or something to that effect. So. Are you guys both still there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Things got a little weird with Skype for a minute there. Sorry, everybody. I might have just been talking. I wasn't sure.
Right. Well, guys, what do you think?
Hold on. I have
Covered
one,
it.
I have one more here.
I thought you wrapped up.
Nope. Actually, there's two more. I'm sorry. The next one is practice gratitude. It says if you're ever feeling dark, identifying and giving thanks for the points of brightness in your life can help you get out of this headspace. Consider making a mental list of things you're grateful for or keeping a gratitude journal. It is helpful to practice gratitude in moments of panic because it can keep someone grounded in the present and appreciative for what they have in their lives. And then the last one is, we covered this already, but reach out for help. It's natural to experience anxiety and other emotional struggles amid a global health crisis. If the feelings worsen or continue to interfere with your ability to concentrate, sleep, or care for yourself or your family, it's important to seek professional help. Many employers and communities offer services. If you're feeling as though you might act in a way that harms yourself or someone else, call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline or crisis text line by texting START to 741-741. Both of those things, more number like that too in the show notes. So, or if not, Google those things or contact one of us and toward those numbers. So there you go. That's the whole thing.
Gotcha. Very great points. I mean, it really, those are things to always keep in mind when you're having anxiety, but especially right now where the nation is having anxiety attacks. It's not just one or two people or a small group of people. It's everybody. We're all in the same boat. Yeah. So take care of yourself. Make sure that you're, really focusing on your physical as well as your mental health and staying as healthy as you possibly can in both places.
Right.
So, well, on that note, if you would like to continue the conversation with us, you know what to do. We've gone through this once before, or twice, or a million times. But I'm going to go through it again because that's how important it is to us that you reach out to us. We want to talk to you. We'd love to talk to you. You can reach me direct on Twitter at Witskey-Ditz, WHITSKEYDITZ. You can reach the show at the crazylifepodcast.weebly.com is our website. crazylifepodcast@outlook.com is our email address. You can also, if you want to hear more from me, you can hear me on shakethesheets.com, which is the website I podcast, and I am all over the place right now. It's a Culture Talk podcast. There you go. Get all the information out. So, and Henno, how can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Henno. You can find me on Facebook Messenger, Henno Heiter. You can hold me at either location there. And also, if you are looking for groups to chat, I can recommend some to you, as can Jen and Brian. So if you are looking for various types of interaction while you are self-quarantined, it's one reason to get a hold of us. And you can check out my other podcast, Moving the Needle podcast, where this last week we released an episode about a 1992 hacker heist movie called Sneakers with an ensemble cast, which was kind of a classic. And then we just recorded a new music podcast, but that won't be up for a couple of weeks. But we had a time. We did it on earworms.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, cool.
That should be horrible to listen to, I'm sure.
It will be horrible.
Awesome. Well, you can
awesome.
also...
And Brian, how can we find you?
You can also find this show on Twitter at The Crazy Life Pod, where I post when new episodes go up. You can find me on Twitter at Stunami. You can find my other podcast, Salty Language, at salty_language on Twitter or saltylanguage.com. That show is very not safe for work, so please be careful when listening. You can find our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/crazylifepodcast. So come join us over there. I actually posted today about agoraphobia, actually. I found an article with a woman who talked about how it affected her life. So go check that out, maybe. We're part of the Danger Entertainment Network, which can be found at dangerentertainment.net, and the Tangent Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. So please go check those out. And then, of course, as we've already said tonight, please reach out if you feel you need help, or if you, just don't want to be alone with your thoughts, basically, if you, whatever it is you need, please reach out to somebody. There's plenty of people out there willing to help you. And especially, like we said, now with people who are anxious about what's going, obviously there's a lot of us that are anxious. There's people out there, like Jen said, without anxiety, like, clinical anxiety, that have anxiety over this, so, us can definitely understand what we each going through here. So, please reach out to people. And also, if you know somebody who, suffers from anxiety or depression or whatever, please make sure you check in on them, to make sure they're still doing okay and everything. And, again, let's try to practice kindness when we can. And also, a couple things, really quick, be really careful, like I said, about like where you're going, because even though you might be okay going to a large crowd or this or that, it was like, keep in mind who you may come into contact with on a normal basis, like if you come into contact with a neighbor or a parent who's elderly or has compromised, immune systems, please be careful with, with what you're doing also, because that's the best we can do right now. Just do your best. Make sure you're washing your hands, 20 seconds. Try not to touch your faces.
Sing happy birthday.
Yeah, sing happy birthday to Heno.
So you sing happy birthday, you're washing your hands. It's 20 seconds.
Yeah. There's been a whole list that's gone around of songs that fit there. So, you look for that. You can find that pretty easily too. So anyway, like I said, just let's practice kindness with one another. When I was in the store the other day, a woman that was going to walk down to get a cart, and the way the store was out, it's a decent walk because they had one entrance closed, and so I was coming back and I saw her kind of, walking, like you could tell she was having some trouble. So I just pushed my cart over to her and was like, here you go, and then I walked back down and got it because, I could. So let's just do little stuff like that. And again, try not to punch people in the face over toilet paper and, just normal stuff. Let's try to keep our heads about ourselves here. And, this sucks. It's scary, but, we'll get through it. Mankind's faced worse things. So.
Mm-hmm. And the key is we'll get through it together, folks.
Well,
can't do this
from a safe distance, we'll get through it together.
From a safe distance. So no, we need to make sure that we get through this together.
Yeah.
And even though we're social isolations and all this other stuff that we're supposed to be doing, make sure that we check in on each other, as Brian said, and don't leave anybody behind.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, go out there and have the best week you possibly can have. And remember, wiggle those toes and wash those hands.